Question: why is Bilam considered a rasha, a wicked man? We are told, and we read, how Bilam tried to convince God to curse the people of Israel. But one could argue that a great man tried to change God's mind, and Israel were the enemies of his peoples, the people he represented, at least in their minds. And since they felt threatened, therefore he was trying to protect them. Of course, protecting them and asking to destroy a people are two separate things. But in the process of war, eliminating your enemy was one of the things that you accomplish, that you try to accomplish. And so I'm not dismissing this part of Bilam, but one could still argue as to why Bilam is such an evil person. Bilam, a rasha, is the paradigm of evil. And the answer is that Bilam was a very spiritual man. And as I've said often on these videos, spirituality and holiness are not necessarily equal. They're not synonymous. Spirituality and godliness are also not synonymous. For you see, many people are spiritual. They're into their spirit. They're one with nature. They feel good about themselves. They're excited. They enjoy the sunlight and the sunrise and the sunset, and they hear the birds chirping, and they see the animals, and they love the fauna, and they love the colors and the changing of the colors in fall and the new blossoms in the springtime. And they love going to different places in the earth, and they feel renewed and excited. That's spiritual. And they may be spiritual also in terms of their feelings about the world and about nature, and how to be one with nature and one with the world, and at peace and in harmony with oneself, and reaching out to others and so on. That's also spirituality. But most of it is selfish. When spirituality is selfish, it is not godly. When it is on the highest level of spirituality and it's selfish, it's outright dangerous. Because there, it's not about God, it's not about principle, it's about yourself. Bilam was all into himself. Because he was all into himself, he tried to climb, and did climb, the spiritual ladder. He was an incredible disciplinarian upon himself. He worked at his trade day and night to be able to communicate with God. However, the purpose of his communication was all his own power, his own wealth, his own enjoyment. There are many people in the world who study and pray and do good things. But if the person does things for himself, for his reward in the world to come, then everything he does is for himself, selfish. And of course, some people think that this selfishness is good. Not only is it not good, it is evil. And in certain cases, can be totally destructive. And Bilam is that paradigm. He's that model of the perfect servant who serves God so that he can become powerful and honored by others. For you see, Bilam hired himself out for the highest bidder. He blessed and he cursed for a price, for a fee. He utilized his spiritual insights and powers to cause others to sin in order that they may die. No godly person would ever agree to cause people to sin so that they may die. For you see, there are things that we don't do in the Torah, even when the chips are down and people are in danger. We don't worship idols, and we don't kill other people, and we don't engage in fornication for the sake of God, for the sake of our Yiddishkeit. In the cases where Yael and Esther left themselves open to Gentiles, the Gemara answers that she wasn't initiating the contact. She was not considered an active participant, and therefore this was not adultery. This was not an act violating the Torah. At any rate, Bilam saw to it that the girls of Midian should violate themselves, allow themselves to be violated, in order to get the people of Israel to sin and to worship idols. And this is an altogether different kind of spirituality. This is the spirituality that wants to be on top, that wants to win at all costs. It is a spirituality of me, me, me. It is not the spirituality of we. It is not the spirituality of Moses. It is the spirituality of those who only want to subjugate others and don't really care about other people, nor do they care about the people that they deal with themselves. How could a father, how could a spiritual father allow thousands of girls to let themselves be violated just to get the men to sin? What a warped mind. Yet this was Bilam. This was within his rationale, because he had to win. Because you see, it wasn't about God. It was all about Bilam. And that is why we called him Bilam Harasha, the wicked Bilam.